Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. What a title. What a movie.
The joke's on you. The joke's on you.
Hey guys, Mr. DVB here. Tonight I saw Birds of Prey, the 7th or 8th film in the DCU. This one's directed by Cathy Yan and it stars Margot Robbie as well as Ewan McGregor and many other actors. This film's story centers around Harley Quinn, who recently broke up with the Joker, and there are a bunch of criminals in Gotham who want her dead, including Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. The thing is, Harley Quinn knows about something that he wants desperately, and she says that she can help him find it. So that's where this movie's story sort of spawns from. Now, as far as my anticipation or expectations for this movie were going into it, they were very, very low. I thought that the trailer for this movie, or at least the first trailer, was really, really bad. It reminded me a lot of Suicide Squad, the only difference being that Suicide Squad had good trailers and ended up being a terrible movie. This film just looked bad from the beginning. It looked like it was going to be a total mess, and I just wasn't looking forward to it. The second trailer was definitely better in my opinion, but I still wasn't hyped or anything for this movie. And then the critic reviews came out, and they were super positive, and a lot of people online were instantly just saying, oh, it's because it's a female-driven movie, it's an SJW film, blah, 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 just because there's female leads. I mean, whatever. I don't care if it's a female-driven movie. Who gives a shit? I just want to see a good film. There's been great female movies before. I love Wonder Woman. I think Black Widow is going to be great, probably. Wonder Woman 84 is probably going to be great. I don't care if it's a female in the role. I just want it to be a good movie. And luckily, I loved this film. I thought this was a ton of fun, and I am happy to say that I was wrong. I thought the trailers looked really bad, but the movie was really good and really enjoyable in my opinion. Yeah, I guess the best comparison I can make for this was that it's really DC's answer to Deadpool. The only difference being that you have Harley Quinn in the main role. And yeah, I just had a ton of fun with this film. As far as the way it's told, it's similar to Deadpool in the fact that it's, kind of a fourth wall breaking film where it's kind of fast forwarding and rewinding and that kind of stuff. Harley Quinn's narrating the story, she's telling it. You even have similar animated bits. And it has a very similar style to Deadpool. But I'll be completely honest with you guys, I like this more than Deadpool, and I think the big reason is because the humor in this movie for me worked better. I know a lot of people love the humor in Deadpool. There are certainly funny moments in those movies, but a lot of the humor is just honestly like middle school grade humor, just talking about dicks and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it can be funny at times, but I thought the humor in this movie was pretty smart. A lot of it was visual humor, which I am a big fan of. And on top of that, the action sequences in this movie were freaking incredible. This has some of the best action I've seen in a comic book film. I think DC is actually doing a really great job when it comes to their fight sequences. But honestly, at times this movie reminded me of John Wick, just with how well the action sequences were choreographed and filmed. Harley Quinn and her baseball bat make a good pair, especially when she's taking on a bunch of henchmen. I mean, I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I think the biggest problem with the trailers at this point, when I look back at them, was the fact that this is an R-rated movie, and those trailers really don't show us that. They don't tell us it's an R-rated film. I feel like a lot of people probably don't even know that this movie is R-rated, but it is. And yeah, it was similar to Deadpool with its violence. It wasn't as cartoony with its violence, I wouldn't say. But it was still pretty bloody, and there was one really, kind of gruesome scene when they introduced Black Mask that I was not expecting. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this film. Now, I'll start off with the pros first. I kind of already talked about the excellent action sequences, but the biggest thing I can say as a positive for this movie is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She was fantastic in this film. I thought she was easily the best part of Suicide Squad, probably one of the only good parts about that movie, but I still didn't feel like she was fantastic, and I think a lot of that just had to do with the really bad writing that movie had. I thought that, Harley Quinn as a character wasn't very well written. I just thought that Margot Robbie was giving a good performance. In this movie, she is given the writing that she deserves. I thought her character was very fun in this film. I liked the way they handled her whole, breakup with the Joker. They didn't just kind of mention it and then brush over it. They spent a decent amount of time showing how she was reacting to that, and I liked the way they set up this film. I thought it was very well told. Like I said, it's similar to Deadpool with the whole fast-forwarding and rewinding thing, the whole fourth wall breaking where a character is talking to the audience and explaining the story. It was cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Another pro was Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor, one of my favorite actors. He was a ton of fun in this movie. I know there are some people online who are annoyed about the fact that they've changed his characters heavily from the comics. For those who don't know what I'm referring to, In the comics, Black Mask is just this very, very, very serious crime lord, just a really badass villain. In the movie, they decided to make his character gay, and a lot of people were annoyed by that because in the trailers he was portrayed as being very, kind of feminine and flirty and that kind of stuff, and I myself was a little bit annoyed by that, not because I hate gay people or anything like that, but just because that's not how the character was. This is like a super serious character who's a crime lord, and to just make his character really like feminine and flirty, it just didn't really fit him in my opinion, and it's going to be something that's going to annoy a lot of people for sure. It's definitely not a comic book accurate portrayal, but I did think that Ewan McGregor was one of the highlights in this movie. I enjoyed his villain a lot. There was a really, really gruesome scene when they introduced him, like I said, that I wasn't expecting. And yeah, I mean, yes, while his villain wasn't comic book accurate, and I kind of wish that they went more in an accurate direction, I thought for the terms of this film, he worked very well as the villain. I guess something I'll just address right now. A lot of people are worried about this movie being some overly SJW feminist film. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't have a problem with female-led movies, but I'm not a huge fan when they like to shove it in your face, because I think sometimes it can get a little bit over the top, especially with movies like Ghostbusters 2016, where it does feel like they're kind of making it the big point of that movie is, oh, look at all these dumb, men characters that are all jerks and that kind of stuff, and the females are all smart, and I can understand how that can be annoying. It annoys me as well in some films. I like, the way Wonder Woman handled things, where it's, yes, a female-led movie, but it felt like they weren't shoving that down your throat. It felt like it was just a lead character who happened to be a female, and was a great character. I don't care, about all this side stuff. And this movie, I'll be honest, it is similar to Ghostbusters in that sense, where it is kind of, all the guy characters are stupid or jerks and that kind of stuff. The only difference is that this is actually a good movie compared to that other film, compared to Ghostbusters, which just didn't have any redeeming qualities to it. This movie had a lot of positive aspects, so I can kind of get over those things that are definitely going to annoy a lot of people, and I can tell you right now that the Metacritic user score for this movie is going to be low as hell. People are just going to be pissed about this film, and I feel like a lot of those people, probably about 50% of them, aren't even going to see this movie. They're just going to base it off of what they've heard and what they've seen in the trailers, and I think that's sad, because I think if you're like me, and you actually go and see this film, you might be pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying you will, but, give it a chance at least, because I thought it was a very, very fun and entertaining movie. A lot better than I was expecting. It also had a great soundtrack, but definitely the biggest pros for this movie was the character of Harley Quinn, the character of Black Mask, and those badass action sequences. Visually, I also thought the movie looked really good. A lot of the DCEU films, I think minus minus Aquaman, I believe are all shot on digital, but they add in like film grain and post-production to give it, just interesting look. I'm not a big fan of, digitally added film grain, especially the way DC's been handling it. They overdo it, and it's just insane. This movie, I believe, was just completely digital. I was seeing it in IMAX, and when I see movies in the theaters, it's kind of hard to tell when you're watching it on a projector if it's film or not. But I think it was digital, and the movie just looks really crisp. I mean, I thought the colors were very good, even though a lot of it is like nighttime sequences. The color grading was really good in this movie, and I typically don't bring stuff like that up. It's just because previous DCU films were really washed out and kind of crappy looking, especially Batman vs. Superman. That movie was just really murky, and Suicide Squad, another exact same scenario. This movie had a really nice visual pop, and a lot of that came from Harley Quinn's character, because this movie really felt like it was her telling it. Deadpool felt like it was Deadpool telling it. This feels like Harley Quinn's telling the story. It has her personality injected into it. It's very fast-paced and, enjoyable like that. And it's not going to work for everyone, but it worked for me. I thought it was a ton of fun, just a really good, enjoyable theater experience. As far as problems go, like I said, I do wish it was a little bit more comic book accurate with some of its characters. I also feel like some of the Birds of Prey members were really pushed to the side, mainly Huntress. She's only in the film for probably about 5 minutes of screen time. But yeah, overall, this is definitely much more of a Harley Quinn movie than it is a Birds of Prey film. I think it should have just been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey or something like that. But yeah, good film. Go see it if you are slightly interested. You might end up liking it. So those are my thoughts on Birds of Prey. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Bye.